Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to install and set up the SSD expansion with the heatsink on the PlayStation 5 console. Specifically, if you don't own one of these drives, it has to be an M.2 PCIe Gen 4 NVMe SSD drive. The drive has to meet the read speeds of at least 5.5 gigabits per second to 9 gigabits per second. It also has to have the correct length from 30 to 42, 60, 80, and 110. It must also hold a minimum capacity of 250 gigabytes all the way up to 4 terabytes. As for the other item that you're going to need to pick up, that is a heat sink, which essentially flows the hot air that is radiating from the console away from its components so that it keeps the system cool. I've seen them in the range from $10 to $20. The main thing that you want to keep in mind here is that it has to fit the size of the SSD that you purchase. There are some SSDs out there like the ones from WD Black that have the heatsink already built onto the SSD. So if you have one of those drives, then you don't need to pick up an extra heatsink because you'll be good to go. I put a bunch of links in the description below for my top recommended SSDs in case you're still kind of confused on the specs and what you need to get. Use the affiliate links down below if you want to make any purchase for the SSDs that I recommend, as well as the heatsinks. Now, once you have your SSD, to get started with the installation process, you're first going to want to take your console and place it on a flat, solid surface. From here, you can go ahead and disassemble the base using a flathead screwdriver, and then put the base and screw over to the side once you've detached it. Now you want to arrange the console so that the disk side is facing up, and this is the plate that you're going to want to remove. So you can do this by gently holding the bottom of the faceplate with your left hand, and then using your right hand you can pull the plate towards you and it should easily slide off. I'm sure for a lot of you guys out there, if this is one of your first times disassembling the plates, this might be a good time to dust it off as well. Prime opportunity, right? Now that the faceplate has been removed, you want to go ahead and grab a Phillips head screwdriver so that you can remove the SSD cover, and then put that screw and plate to the side. Within that SSD slot, you're going to want to remove the mounting screw and the spacer from the slot and put those off to the side. And it should probably go without saying, try not to mix up the screws or lose them. So you want to make sure that your surface where you're doing this work is pretty clean. Now you can go ahead and unbox your SSD and your heatsink, and we're going to need to put these two things together. Of course, if you have one of the drives with the built-in heatsink, then you can skip this step. The first thing you're going to want to do here is take one of the thermal pads that came with the heatsink and apply that to the front of the SSD. Then you can take the heatsink and put it on top of the thermal pad, and then use those brackets that came with the heatsink as well and mount the SSD and the heatsink into place. So before you place the SSD in, go ahead and grab that spacer and put it back into the SSD slot where it aligns with the size of your SSD. For the majority of you guys out there, you're probably using an 80mm SSD and heatsink, so you can go ahead and place the spacer in that slot. Then with the SSD facing up, insert the drive at a slight angle following the markings that you'll see in the slot. It'll be partially elevated, so don't try to force it in. Just gently place it into the slot until you hear a little click, and then you'll know it's in place. You can then go ahead and grab the mounting screw and reapply that into place. Once that screw is in firmly, you're going to want to put the SSD slot cover back onto the console, and it's very important that you do this so that the air is flowing correctly throughout the console. Next, you can slide your faceplate back on by pushing it up onto the console into place, and then reattach the base and the screw wherever you had them before. And at this point, you're ready to hook the console back up. If the drive is installed correctly, the first message that you'll see whenever you boot up the console is that the M.2 SSD was detected and that it needs to be formatted. So go ahead and select the formatting option so that it can work with the PS5 console. On the following screen, you'll see the read speeds displayed of the drive. So that speed that you're seeing on the screen isn't the max speed that you might see on the box. This is just the base speed that the PS5 is detecting from the drive. After that screen, you should see that your drive was formatted successfully, and at this point, we can go into our settings, go to storage, and we can see that we have our console storage and now the expanded storage slot activated so that we can see how much data is on each of the drives. If we want to move some games to the expanded storage slot, then what you're going to want to do is under the console storage, go to Games and Apps, click on one of the games, and then you'll see the Select Items to Move option. Click that, and now you can select whichever games that you want to transfer just by checking them off. And then once you're finished, go ahead to the bottom right-hand corner and select Move. Just like that, I have a lot more space to work with now compared to what I had before. Your boy was almost completely out of space. So we really need this SSD drive. I am pumped that it's finally here. I did test out the game Madden 21 that I moved over to the SSD, and it ran just as normal as if it was on the console storage. There was absolutely no change to my gameplay experience. Anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. As you can see, the installation process isn't too complicated. Maybe Sony will one day release their own SSD drives with the heatsink included, but until that day, we have plenty of SSDs that we can use. Again, if you don't know which ones you wanna go with, check the links down in the description below. With that being said, thank you so much for... I was almost done. No. That really sucks.